terrifying way to deliver a simple fact, and a clever way of explaining why the aliens were drawn to cities first. Ooh, that's a beautiful beard there, Charlie's brother Peter. There has to be a better way to reference Hereditary. No? Going with that? Okay, cool.
Why don't you go ahead?
Finish our poem I've been working on. Ruben said I had to, so...
I didn't say you had to.
It's called This Place is
The twist that Sam is actually a poet is the first of many, well, that can't be that important, expectation subversions. We think Ruben is forcing her to do some find yourself exercise from a textbook when he's actually encouraging her to pick her art up again.
Cancer is and Milton has taste in music.
Ha, got him. And all the information we need in a few shots and lines of dialogue. She has cancer, she's on hospice care, and Milton is very offended.
When's the last time you were in the city?
Last time was supposed to be the last time.
Well, here's another time.
Oof. All three films in this series revolve around death, but this one is pulling out all the pretense and not bothering with any shock value at all. It's just dropping us right into the brutal reality of life, death.
Okay, well then, yeah, we'll get pizza on the way back.
In the city.
In the city.
Again, setting up something that seems innocuous, maybe just her last meal request, but it's so much more. Marco Beltrami created something magical with the first two movies, and Alexis Gropsis picked it up where he left off and kills it for day one. Samira's theme is already melancholic and quiet, subtle in the ways that this film can be. We go from Sam starting to enjoy herself with the epic score, and then we get a wide shot, the jets flying by, reminding us that it's all about to go sideways. Aaron's favorite part of horror movies again.
You lied.
I don't know if I lied. You could have checked the schedule.
You tricked.
Oh yeah, I tricked you, for sure.
Honesty.
This is Frodo.
Hi, Frodo.
Get it? Sam and Frodo. This kind of thing is catnip for this channel. And love that the cat lives up to its secondary protagonist namesake. I mean, yeah, I was with her. You're about to perform and you haven't even taken them out of their case yet? Okay, I get it. Him emerging is part of the act. You win this time, marionette marionettist. Puppeteer. Yeah, there it is. This movie punches way above its weight. It's a horror movie about aliens that kill based on sound, and we just saw a 2-minute sequence of a terminally ill cancer patient get moved to tears watching a dialogue-less marionette performance. And obviously there's a number of things she could be feeling after watching the puppet fall, even if she was just startled back to her reality after getting lost in the show. But we are being reminded that this is what's about to happen to most of the humans when they don't stay quiet.
Sam, we'll get pizza another day.
We're already in the city.
Well, then we'll order it tonight.
We're getting pizza in the city and then we'll go back.
No, we're not getting pizza.
Yes, we are getting
Okay, you gotta calm down. Calm down.
We know there's more to it, but Sam controls so little in her life and has such little time left, we can understand why she's frustrated.
I don't want to argue with you. I'm your friend, okay? And
You're not my friend. You're a nurse. I'm getting on the bus.
Ooh, she seems to regret it, but either way, I can't imagine the mind screw that being terminally ill must be. And while Ruben doesn't treat her with kid gloves, he also clearly doesn't falter and even tries to apologize. And with all the sound happening right now, that opening text was a good reminder that it takes a lot to rattle New Yorkers. What a shot. We don't even have to see to guess what they're looking at. And even though Reagan isn't in this one, we still get a taste of our senses being muted after the explosion. Two classic horror movie snatchings before the first slow reveal. And it even feels foreign to us at first, almost looking humanoid. I like that she doesn't look at him immediately because that's 100% real. You'd be disoriented and this would be an awful way to regain consciousness. Evelyn stepped on that nail in 1, and we got the bear trap scene from 2, but this is once again unique because the aliens literally just showed up. This is people on the fly figuring out that they have to hold it all in to survive with no practice, whether it's physical pain or just the shock and trauma about what's happening, and who dang would my family and I be dead. I don't know, maybe it's just my kids, but the 3-year-old and the 7-year-old do not understand the concept of whispering. Or tiptoeing? I swear it's louder than just regular walking. Aw, see, they're still friends hugging. Exactly why I'm a dog guy. JK, I love my dog, but she would have gotten us killed even before my human family members. She barks at leaves. Terrifying moment, but also some visual exposition about the Death Angel's actual abilities. They aren't daredeviling heartbeats, they're poking around to startle a target. And a few things, because I've already read too many. Why were the aliens nerfed? You used to have to walk barefoot and avoid squeaky floorboards, and now it can't hear breathing? Nope. Like I've said before, we were presented the rules that the Abbott family followed, and a bunch of the audience assumed those were the rules. They are not. It was confirmed in every movie that they were mostly drawn to the loudest noises, the ones rising above the rest, especially when it's silent, like a high-pitched bell when it's right outside. So much of these movies rely on what is, at least initially, unsaid, and that only works if the acting is good. Lupita Nyong'o's face, realizing she doesn't have her meds, says more than 2 pages of dialogue ever could. We're finally getting to see something that was only hinted at in the first 2 movies, and it all makes sense seeing the true scope of the destruction of life and infrastructure. Oof, you would not fit in inside Riley's head, mister. Or anywhere in Inside Out 2, really. And look, I feel for this guy, even more than Crazy Tim Robbins, but nothing nails home the gravity of a situation quite like people making these decisions. Also, he didn't mean to kill him. Again, there are so many ways to read this, and one of the greatest things about this movie is that if Sam wants to go out while getting pizza because she's in her final days of life, I think many of us can respect her decision. But again, it's even more than that. The pure violence of the noise the generator is making. These movies always nail sound, and this one is next level infuriating. I can imagine this annoyed some people, but I think this is a perfect example of the sound mechanics because the generator was constant. Sure, the alien was going to destroy it, but it was the loud, quick sound piercing the silence that sealed Rubidoob's fate. And if you try to picture it visually, it's like it creates a large plume of sound vibrations, whereas the shirt rip is much more sharp and precise, like you can easily pinpoint it. Also brutal. Again, the best type of apocalypse for gathering resources because no one has taken more than they need. Sam and Frodo walking into Mordor again. Gorgeous shot. The tote bag and the cat on a leash make it feel both surreal and somehow incredibly realistic. Move to the fountain, Sam. It'll be safe. See? Just like the kids. They get it. Move there.
This is a mandatory evacuation order.
It would be really easy to have Sam's arc be, oh, but human lives are important, something I'd totally forgotten. But no, she totally knows that already. Her fatalism really only applies to herself. She's a kind and decent human being who got a raw deal. Good for you, Jet, getting your tags into a big blockbuster. Also, I feel like this is a unique shot for the series and gives some scope to what it would be like to be stuck in a city with the aliens. Invasions are scary, but they nailed the infestation imagery, which might be a worse vibe. Not to mention the stampede imagery, a swarm of cockroaches that could murder your Mufasa dad. It's tough to see in the dark, but we've all been there, where you cough with your mouth closed to avoid noise and it just jerks your head forward. This is gonna come out wrong because being attractive and having life-limiting illnesses are not mutually exclusive, but obviously the makeup department wants Sam to look gaunt, but my goodness, bloodshot eyes and chapped lips can't hide Lupita Nyong'o's beauty. So, good job on being gorgeous, Lupita. It's honestly impressive to see this many people walking quietly, like even as extras, because I feel like this would be a big ask IRL. Another stellar shot, and even without a road sign that says Brooklyn Pizza this way, we already know what she's doing. The build-up makes it pretty clear that something is coming, but I love that the focus on the crowd distracts us just long enough that you could easily miss the alien in the corner at first. Good call, Frodo.
No, please!
Shut up! I know, I should have some sympathy, and this would probably be a lot of people's fight or flight response, but shut it! Nope! Honestly, not much can shake me these days, but trapped under a 3-ton SUV as it slowly crushes you is up there with things that trigger my lizard brain. These films are outstanding at shooting our main protagonist in the foreground and then slowly shifting our eyes to the background. Sam never forgets her pain, but there are times that adrenaline takes over and it's not until the danger is gone that the full intensity of your pain returns, and I love how the music cues us into that since we likely forgot for a few seconds that her pain was already a 3 before the aliens landed and knocked her out. Frodo is the best. No joke, I would follow a full-length film about animals just living their lives while some sort of apocalypse for humans happens around them. Or like play Stray, I guess. And following our deuteragonist to the introduction of our tritagonist Eric is such fluid plot writing. Wow, becoming a cat person over here.
I'm really scared. doesn't want to die.
What works so well is that besides just not wanting to be alone, Eric clearly sees that Sam is unafraid of death, or at the very least is not scared of death in the way that he is. And while he doesn't know she's terminally ill yet, he sees something is different about how she carries herself and is dealing with all this, and so his instinct is to follow her because she is, at least relative to most of the humans they've interacted with all day, cool, calm, and collected. Oh my goodness, speaking of cool, calm, and collected, Eric is rock god Eddie Munson. So real. I can feel the hip and knee impact. It is not as easy as they make it look in movies.
Don't you have anywhere you can go?
Oh, my parents are in Kent. I came here for law school.
These movies only work because of the actors. You can write and frame and light and shoot and mix and edit everything so perfectly, which they did, and it could all fall flat without the right people in these slow, dark minutes. So far, none of these movies have had the wrong people, but Joseph Quinn and Lupita Nyong'o are the right people.
I think the world might be ending.
I think there's a slice setting up there that's the last it'll ever exist. And I'm gonna get it.
Mad respect. I mean, pizza is mid, but she knows she's gonna die anyway, and this is a mission I can get behind, and I fully understand why Eric decides to help.
Did you write this?
Yeah,
You're a poet.
not anymore.
Lies. We all heard that masterpiece about poop walks from the first 2 minutes.
Bad math. You said 1 to 2 years, and it has been 2.
And now we get the reveal that she's a gifted poet, and I love that rather than explain her situation for the 1000th time, she can let her poetry do it for her.
Until months, to days, to hours, to seconds. But not now.
And once again, this movie is punching above its weight. This poem is gorgeous, and Joseph Quinn's reading of it alongside his character's realization of Sam's illness is beautifully poignant. More excellent show don't tell. Sam is so fatigued and sick that even a nightmare jump scare does nothing. There really is nothing like the smell of a book. Also great choice with Octavia Butler's Dawn, a classic sci-fi novel dealing with the end of the world, aliens, and a black woman lead. Solid misdirection, especially with the awkward wave that sets the hook. Oh wait, I meant bait and switch. That's what the hook was for. Ha! More like books fall. Well, I guess the happiness falls too. Anyway, great mystery thriller novel. I mentioned the Stampede earlier, but we're also constantly shown how strong and heavy the Death Angels are. Not even the concrete can hold up. Ingenuity. I can't say it would have ever occurred to me to use a rock to set off a car alarm, but then the shot from inside the car as the roof collapses? Do you want human-eating rats? Because this is how you get human-eating rats. Great way of showing 2 different responses to fear. Eric covers his mouth, probably to hold in a gasp, and while Sam is relatively still, she doesn't not seem scared. Her pain still slowing her reaction time might be working in her favor in that regard. No. This is where I lie down and die instead. Nope. Sam gets it. Yeah, I want to be all, keep it together, bro, but the cold water, we saw their breath earlier, it's cold, combined with the dark, not knowing what's around you, but knowing that you aren't moving anywhere fast, cooked. I love the way the Death Angel drowns, like it got surprised, almost like it didn't know it couldn't breathe water. Possibly because it only has involuntary breathing, or maybe it just has no concept of liquid. Little dude is over it. I totally get it, bro. And we know what this means because Eric would curl up and hide underground if not for Sam. Eric's a good dude. This movie is generally pretty bloodless, or at least it's quick, with the one exception that the streets are always littered with evidence of terrible things happening. It's a great way to show how quick it all happens. Also, I love the difference between the way Sam takes the flashlight and the delicate operation-level precision that Eric does it with. His jump scare aside, Frodo is a service animal. He clearly seems to be able to read who needs his calming services the most. But he's also a cat. Although maybe he just thought Eric should learn some Death Angel lore. I love that Frodo's immediately safe up high. Well, that's unsettling, which it's supposed to be, so yeah. Speaking of infestation, they're always crawling out of places you don't expect them. Honestly, kind of appreciate this scene because it clears up why the Death Angels are just murdering and not eating. They have very specific dietary restrictions. Don't know what the deal is with the giant Death Angel? Happy to just leave it at that. Doesn't even mention what he had to go through to get it. Yeah, that's a badass good guy right there.
When he took me to see him play at a jazz club by Patsy, and after we get pizza.
A real solid heart-wrenching reveal.
Before we get pizza.
Before we get pizza.
Again, knowing what we know about Eric, it means more coming from him. I've really got no words. Even less words now. It's not the moment you want or expect after their connection, but that's sort of the point. 20-second reaction shot that goes through more emotions than I've experienced in my entire life. Lupita Nyong'o is incredible. Lupita Nyong'o is always a win. And like I said, it's gut-wrenching that Patsy's is destroyed, but dying doesn't change your luck, and if there's any kind of arc for Sam in this movie, though she doesn't need one, it's finding out she can rely on people again, and she can rely on Eric. Hugging. Yup, really rely on him. Love Eric's energy. Eddie Munson's still out here doing the most. Exactly. All pizza is mid unless it's square cut and from Park Lane Pizza in West Hartford, Connecticut, which happens to be closed for renovations, and that has nothing to do with my snark about pizza. Pizza Cat! You get yours, Frodo. A little Roberto Benigni and Life is Beautiful energy here? But this magic trick scene feels surprisingly truthful because people do often find joy in even the worst situations, and it's refreshing to see Sam genuinely smile. It's revealed later, but my guess is that 99% of the audience understood what that sweater meant, and if you can achieve that without words, you know you've done well. And we get both the emotion of giving it away and the emotion of seeing it on someone who has been caring for her, therefore reminding her of her dad. But then Sam gets to care for Eric one last time, and as hard as it is to watch, I kind of love that Eric's panic attacks aren't just fixed because he's taking care of Sam now. Sadly, that's just not how it always works. Self-sacrifice. Seeing their numbers really nails home why everything collapsed, because it was only ever a few or less at a time in the first two movies. I love that you can see the can in the reverse shot. Honestly, heck of a final action sequence. It compounds the tension because not only are you hoping he makes it, but he has Frodo with him and nobody wants to see a cat die. Plus, we don't want Sam's sacrifice to be in vain. It's all a lot. To be fair, I think Frodo wishes he was dead. And it's amazing to see joy on the face of someone who knows they're about to die. Aw, what a reunion payoff. For a movie that has a pretty sad, if bittersweet ending, I really appreciate they throw us this moment of happiness. Crying, happiness, but still happiness. The feeling that her dad lives on.
And thank you. Thank you for bringing me home.
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you for helping me live again.
No, I'm not.
Ooh, and I'm feeling good.
Badass good girl. Nina Simone is always a win. Hey, is Day One the best movie in the trilogy? I don't know, maybe? Or was it just because I wasn't expecting it to be what it is? Which was stupid of me because the primary thing I loved about the first movie was that it was a family story and then also had aliens in it. And neither component feels like an afterthought, both are excellent. So then when you bring in Pig director Michael Sarnowski, which granted, Pig was a small budget artsy film that's basically about loneliness, you end up with a bigger budget horror movie that's basically about loneliness. But just like A Quiet Place, it's an artful, understated horror film that deals with way more than aliens. It's shot beautifully, it's paced well, and the story and characters have depth and genuinely make us care in 90-something minutes. One thing I think Sarnowski really succeeds at is focusing on these small moments, whether they're scary or tragic or beautiful. But then when the audience is focused on these small moments, he gives us brief glimpses of the wider picture. New York City is destroyed and our protagonists are stuck there. It's amazingly different from the other two rural setting movies, and yet retains the charm that made me love them. And the three main characters are again a huge part of why the movie works. Alex Wolff has the smallest bit but does so much with his little time that his death is the first alien kill that really hits in this film. And then Joseph Quinn picks up where he left off and truly blew me away. Like, I'll keep calling him Eddie Munson, but goodness did he become the scared, panic-riddled dude who has so much more compassion and heart than you'd ever expect. But obviously the entire movie rests on Lupita Nyong'o's shoulders. She brings us from the first scene to the last, and there wasn't a moment where I doubted that she was who she told us she was. Lupita makes this movie. She's both sympathetic but unlikable at times, she's funny and smart but kinda mean and weird. In other words, human. It's a world-class performance from a world-class performer. Okay, one more thing, and I don't want to spend too much time defending something that always seemed really clear to me, but it does frustrate me that people think there are inconsistencies with the Death Angel's hearing levels. You know what's pretty loud? Fire. But inside the first 20 minutes of the first movie, we see that Lee lights a fire every night. Like he tries to explain to his son about the waterfall, continuous ambient noise doesn't attract them. I honestly think that's the reasoning behind the march through the streets taking a second. Like the opening of the movie says, cities are loud, and while I'm sure the Death Angels were attacking everything and anything when they arrived, they definitely learned what was a worthy target. It's almost one of those situations where marching down the street in a huge crowd is so crazy it just might work. And it does for a while, but eventually sounds start to rise above the rest. We're literally shown it happening, and once the first person screams, they're all cooked. The real rant here is that sometimes I feel like we've hit peak nitpick / plot hole / realism connoisseur media criticism that we can't ever trust movies and obviously writers to have thought it all through. We get so locked into the idea of lore that we forget how little lore matters in the real world. And I don't mean that metaphysically. I mean, like, if the IRL lore is that bears will kill you but you stumble onto a docile one in the woods, Earth didn't break canon. And it's a decent example because it is the type of thing we forget sometimes. You can't ask, will this bear attack me, and expect anyone to know unless they're besties with that bear, because bears are like humans. Some are cool and some are a-holes. I know this seems like a way out of left field example, but will the Death Angel hear this is a similarly nebulous question. Did he have his slimy cabbage today? Did some dirt get kicked in his ear hole? Has he already responded to a similar sound 3 times today and is just done with it? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I give too many benefits of the doubt, but part of what makes the movies fun to me is that I don't know what might trip the alarm because I understand there are a million variables. The humans are just doing their best to survive and trying to minimize risk. Rant over. I love this trilogy, I really love this movie, and I'll keep watching more from this universe. Next week, more spooky stuff.